Let's start with the design of a rectangular isolated footing. So let's see first the data we have, like a rectangular column that is 600 mm into 400 mm, carries an axial load of 800 kilonewton and design a rectangular footing to support the column. The safe bearing capacity of the soil, that is 200 kilonewton per meter square, that is available, and M20 concrete and Fe415 steel, that is available to us. So this is the data we have, in which we have to design the rectangular isolated footing with the column of 600 into 400 mm, which is carrying the load of 800 kilonewton. So on the against, we have the safe bearing capacity that is available, that is 200 kilonewton per meter square. We have to design the rectangular footing. So let's start with the step number one. So load on the column, that is this one in the Newton, that is given to us, and approximate weight of the foundation, that will be the 10% of the column load. So as the 10% of the column load, so that will be 80,000 Newton here will be, and this is the total load of the load on the column and the 10% of the column load, that is the weight of approximate weight of footing which we are assuming here. So this is the total load which we are having, and against we have the safe bearing capacity of the soil. This is available, also available here. So as per step number two, this is important. So we have to plan the dimension of the foundation must be such that the projection beyond the column faces should be nearly equal. So we have to plan the projection as like that, the projection of the footing beyond the column, that should be equal. So let the length of the foundation be L meter, and breadth, that is equal to 4.40 meters divided by L. So this is how to decide the projection. So equating the projection beyond the column face, that is the half of this side, that is the area of the footing we have. So against that, 4.40 divided by L minus 0.4. This one is the, like you can see this figure here. Okay, this is a 4.40. This is the total area that you will get after dividing the total load with the safe bearing capacity. So then you will get the area required. Is that clear? So the area required here, the total load against the total load, that is 4.40 meters square. Now we have to fix the length and width of the footing. Okay, so the width that will be equal to the area by length. So the area, so this is the figure that will be there. On the one side we have 400, and other side we have 600 mm, 0.6 meter and 0.4 meter. This is the size of the column we have. Okay, now we are creating the projection there, creating the projection beyond the column face, which is a half from this. The overall, this is B minus 0.4 minus L minus 0.6. From both sides we are creating this thing. So this one is the width we have along this width. Okay, so what is B here? B, that is the area by L minus this one, this side, Okay, and along this length, so this is we have, that is minus this 0.6 meter from here. We are equating both these sides so that we can get the equal projection on both the sides. So the following we get here the length, that is 2.20 meter, and after getting the length, we are getting both the length side in this equation that you can see here. Then after getting the length, you will get here the width dividing by the area. So this is the projection beyond the column face, 2.20 minus 0.60. Okay, so this is 0.8 meters we have, and 0.8 meters is the basically is the that is the projection beyond the column face. Now this one is the net upward pressure on the foundation, that will be due to the axial load divided by the area of the footing we have. Okay, so this is the upward pressure that will act upon that, on the base of the footing. Is that clear up to this step?
Yes, sir.
Then we have the then we need to calculate the maximum bending moment at the x-axis we have. Now we have these two axes that will be different along these two sides. So this is the x-axis we have, and this is the y-axis. Okay, this one is the x and this one is the y-axis we have. Now we need to calculate the bending moment along the x-axis. So along the x-axis, this one is the net upward pressure intensity multiplied by this length along the x-axis we have, and it is acting there where we have the projection, that is half 0.80 into 80 by 2. Okay, that will be 0.80 L square by 2 there will be. So this is the bending moment along the x-axis. Now the factor moment, the multiplying by with the partial safety factor, this is the factor moment along the x-axis. So after equating the limiting moment to the ultimate moment, 0.138 FCK BD square. So along this side of the B we have 600, and D we need to calculate. This one is the effective depth. So here we are getting after calculating this, that is 341 mm. So along the x-axis we have effective depth, that is 341 mm. Now again the same step we need to repeat here to calculate the bending moment along the y-y axis. So my axis here along this side, that is 2 meter, and this projection that will be remain same because we have equal projection on beyond the face of the column. So here we are getting again the first we need to convert into the factor movement by multiplying with the partial safety factor, and here we are getting the factor movement and equating with the limiting moment. So here we are getting D is equal to 398 mm. So both the effective depth that we get. Now we decided to provide the 10 mm dia bar at a clear cover of 60 mm at the base. Okay. So here we decided to provide the 10 mm dia bar with the clear cover of 60 mm. Now then the effective cover to the lower layer of the steel, that is 60 plus 5, and the upper layer of the steel. So like this. So now you can see this figure, this one. Sorry. This one. So this is basically is the cross section of the rectangular isolated footing that you can see here, and we on the other side we have the plan of that footing. So in this figure that you can see this side, this longer side, along this longer side. So the main distribution, the main steel that will be along the shorter side, and the distribution steel that will be along the longer side. So this one is the distribution steel that is along the longer side, and this is the this is the main steel which we are laying along the shorter side. So this is the longer side, and this line that you can see, this is basically is the distribution steel. Okay, so for both these steel, we decided here the 10 mm dia bar. Okay, this one is also 10 mm dia bar, and this one is also 10 mm dia bar. Okay, is that clear? So now again come to this step. So after providing a 10 mm dia bar at a clear cover of 60 mm, the effective cover to the lower layer of steel. The lower layer of steel, that will be the main steel there. Okay, there will be the effective cover, that is 60 plus 5, 65 mm, and the upper layer of the steel, that is 65 plus 10, that will be 75. Okay, is that clear how to provide the lower and upper layer of the steel with effective cover? Same like जैसे slab के केस में हमने किया था. What we did in the slab design. Do you remember that or not? Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now I am asking something to you. Is that clear to all? Or is there any doubt? Say yes or no something. Basically now we are calculating the, we have to calculate the percentage of steel along both the axes, along the x-axis as well as along the y-axis. So that's why we are calculating the bending moment along both the axes, the x and y, so that there will be the effective depth that will also be different along both the axes. So if the effective depth will be different, the effective cover that will be different also. The lower steel which we are providing along the shorter side, and the upper steel which we are providing along the longer side. Okay, the lower steel, that one is the main steel we have, and the upper steel, that is the distribution steel we have. Is that clear, this thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so overall depth required, that will be, when we are considering along the y axis. So this one, that is we have the 398 mm, the effective depth plus 75. Okay, along the shorter side. So this is the overall depth we have, that is 473 mm. Now the overall depth may be increased by 30% to limit the shear stresses. So we increase that, this one, and this is 614.9 mm that we are getting the overall depth. Now again we need to calculate here the actual effective depth against this overall depth. So provide an overall depth here, this one, and the effective depth of the shorter span along the shorter span. This is the effective cover we have, so that will be the effective depth along the shorter span. And this is the long span we have along this side. This is the effective cover we have. That one is the upper steel. The effective cover will be more, 5 plus 5, 5 from the bottom steel dia and 5 from the upper steel dia. So that will be is equal to 75 plus 10, 65 plus 10. 60 was the clear cover. Then from the shorter steel, on the shorter span, we have the effective depth will be this one. Okay. And for the longer span, the effective depth will be this one. Is that clear now? Then for both, with the help of both these effective depth, the shorter and the longer span, now you can calculate the steel required in the long direction and steel required in the shorter direction here. So for the longer span, we know that there is the distribution steel we have. So along the longer direction, that you can calculate here the distribution steel with the help of this one. Okay. And along the shorter span, so mu by bd square along the required length in the longer direction there. So the movement along the longer direction divided by the this one b into d. D is the effective depth which we calculated here as, and this is the percentage of the steel required against that, and this is the area of steel that we can get multiplying with the area of the cross section b into d. So this is the area of the steel required for the longer direction. Okay. And along the longer direction, steel required in the longer direction, that is this one, and we are providing here the 13 bars of the 10 mm dia. So here we are getting more area of steel as compared to this when we are providing here the 13 bars of the 10 mm dia. And this is the 10 mm dia which we decided to provide here along the longer direction as well as on the shorter direction. Okay. Now we have to calculate the area of steel for the shorter direction. So against the shorter direction, the movement that will be different, which we calculated the bending moment along the x-axis. So along that, we have to provide the steel as well, like the percentage of steel will be b into d along this axis, and the area of steel we have is 1026. So the reinforcement requirement in the central band, that is 2000 mm. So 2 plus beta plus 1. So beta, this is basically the ratio of both the side, and plus 1 into the area of steel. So 977.1 mm square area here we are getting when we are providing the reinforcement in the central band. So this is the reinforcement in the central band that you can see here. Okay. So here we have the here we have the this one is the 13 bar of the 10 mm dia along the longer side. This is the longer, this is the steel on the longer direction, and this one is the steel on the shorter direction, this one. So when we are considering here the shorter direction, so this we are considering the movement along this axis, and when we are considering the steel on the longer direction, then we are considering the movement along this side. Okay. And in between, because this one is 2200 along this side, and at the end we need to provide here the one more bar. This is here that you can see at the each end. So here we have the 13 bars of the 10 mm dia, and in central band, and the additional bar at the each end. So this one is the additional bar at the each end on the both sides. Okay. Is that clear to all?